Children, good morning all of you. Today we are starting a new chapter in geography, chapter 6, industries, comparative case studies. What are industries? What are the factors responsible for the location of industries? What are the classification of industries? All that we have studied in the previous chapter, that was industries. The word industry refers to an economic activity that is concerned with the processing of the raw materials into the finished products with the help of machines in factories. And here we shall be studying about the case studies in difference with India and in the contemporary world. If any industry has been developed in any region of the world, that is just because of those factors what work behind that, what are responsible for its localization. The world's major industries are the iron and steel industry, textile industry, and the information technology industry. The very important industries, they are very major industries. The first two, that is the iron and steel industry, textile industry, are very old industries, while the last one, that is the information technology, is an emerging industry. Iron and steel industry is located in Germany, China, Japan, USA, Russia. Textile industry is concentrated in India, China, Taiwan, Indonesia, Vietnam, South Korea, and Japan. The major hubs of the IT industries are the Silicon Valley in the Central California, Bangalore in India, and Taiwan and South Korea. In this chapter, we will do a comparative study of three major industries: iron and steel industry between Jamshedpur, India, and Pittsburgh in the USA; the textile industry between Ahmedabad in India and Osaka in Japan; and finally the information technology industry between Bangalore here in India and the Silicon Valley in the USA. So the first, we should take iron and steel industry. What is the key industry? What is the basic industry? What is the heavy and the bulky industry? All that we have studied in the previous chapter, that was the industries. The iron and steel industry is the basic industry. Why the basic industry? Because that provides, that lays the basis for the other industries. What the machineries, tools, and other things the other industries are using, that are produced here in the iron and steel industry. It is the key to the other industries, since all other industries depend on it. All the other industries are dependent upon the iron and steel industry. When it will be supplying or catering the produces from here, the others would be working. Since all other industries depend on it for their machineries and other products they need. For this reason, the production and consumption of iron and steel is often taken as an index of a nation's business and nation's business activities and the standard of living of its people. Jamshedpur, Jharkhand, India. When Jamshedpur name comes, the name of the business tycoon Jamshedji Tata must be coming in your mind. Actually, he initiated that unit. In India, the first iron and steel plant was set up in West Bengal at Kulti in 1870. Later, the Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited was established at Sakshi, Jamshedpur in 1907 by Jamshedji Tata, one of the pioneers of the modern India. It is one of the largest integrated iron and steel works in Asia. Not only in India, but it is in Asia. There is no bigger unit than that. It is a private sector industry. It started pig iron production in 1911 and steel in 1912. The first public sector iron and steel plant, now known as Vishweshwara Iron and Steel Works at Bhadravati, that is in Karnataka, was established in 1923. The difference must be clear in the public sector and the private sector industries. The public sector industries is having full control of individuals over it, and the private sector industries are owned by the individuals, while the public sector industries are controlled and owned by the government. The locational advantages of Jamshedpur. Jamshedpur is strategically located and enjoys a few advantages. What are? As the place is only 32 kilometers away from Kalmati, that is a station, Kalmati station on the Bengal-Nagpur railway line. Means it's having a railway network. While studying the features or factors responsible for the location of the industries, we have studied it should be having a network of transportation. So it is having a good network of transportation, that is railway, that is just 32 kilometers away from that place. Sakchi is ideally situated at the confluence of the rivers Subarnarekha and Kharkai in Jharkhand, about 200 kilometers from Kolkata. That is the confluence of the two major rivers, Subarnarekha and Kharkai, that is in Jharkhand, about 200 kilometers from Kolkata. Kolkata is having an export facility through the waterways. The iron ore comes from the districts of Singhbhum, that is also in Jharkhand, and Mayurbhanj mines, that is in Odisha. These are located at a distance of just 75 kilometers from Jamshedpur. I mean, it is having a very close distance from the places. It gets the raw materials to process, and a very close distance from the places from where the finished products or the final products could be exported or catered to the rest of the country, even abroad. Coal comes from Jharia and Raniganj coal fields, which are about 180 kilometers away. That is also a raw material as a fuel that is required in that industry, and that comes from a very short distance. Limestone and dolomite come from Odisha and Chhattisgarh. Manganese is obtained from Keonjhar mines in Odisha. Means all those products what are used as the raw materials here in this industry or as the fuel in that industry, they are obtained from a very short distance, what could be covered within no time. A dam has been constructed on the river Subarnarekha to provide water. The Damodar Valley project provides cheap and abundant hydroelectric power. Whatever the water is required, that is met out by the Subarnarekha river. A dam was built over it, and the dam what was constructed over the river Damodar under the Damodar River Valley project is providing it the hydroelectrical power abundantly, no matter whatever the amount it requires, that is obtained from there. Since the iron and steel industry is a labor intensive industry, it has the demand for a large number of skilled and unskilled laborers. Skilled labor for doing the work what is requiring skill and training. Besides that, the unskilled, uneducated, untrained labor is also required, cheap labor. It gets from the region nearby. The region is densely populated, and this provides cheap labor what is available from nearby states of Bihar, Odisha and West Bengal. All those states are having extreme poverty in those states, and they are very much populated, very densely populated. And they provide it the cheap labor. It is located on the main railway line connecting it to the ports of Kolkata and Mumbai. On both of the sides, it is well connected. It is having the connectivity with Mumbai and Kolkata. What are providing it? The export facilities. So, children, what are the locational advantages of this industry? What is in Jamshedpur? The first, the place is only 32 kilometers away from Kalmati station, what is on Bengal Nagpur railway line. Sakchi is ideally situated at the confluence of the rivers Subarnrekha and Kharkai. The iron ore comes from the districts of Singhbhum and Mayurbhanj. They are located at a distance of just 75 kilometers from Jamshedpur. Coal comes from Jharia and Raniganj. What are the coal fields in those places? And those are just 180 kilometers away from that place. Limestone and dolomite come from Odisha and manganese from the Kionjhar mines in Odisha is available to this industry. A dam has been constructed over the river Subarnrekha, but is providing it water abundantly. Besides, the Damodar River Valley project provides it cheap and abundant supply of hydroelectric power. It is a labor intensive industry. It requires very much availability of labor that it gets from the nearby regions, Bihar, Kolkata, West Bengal, that is, and Odisha. And it is located on the main railway line that is connecting to Kolkata and Mumbai. Several other industrial plants were set up later. What did they do? They produced the locomotives, chemicals, machineries, agricultural equipments, cables, wires, etc. The Indian iron and steel industry consists of large integrated steel plants as well as mini steel plants, rolling mills, ancillary producers, etc. Now, children, we should move over to the same industry in the other part of the world, that is Pittsburgh in the USA. Pittsburgh is an important site or important city in the United States of America and is historically known for its steel industry. It was named in 1758 by General John Fox in the honor of the British statesman William Pitt. It is on the Allegheny. It is on the Allegheny Plateau where the confluence of Allegheny from the northeast and Monongahela from the southeast from the Ohio River. The growth of the Pittsburgh and its economy was caused by the extensive trade in steel through the 1970s. Like the Tata Steel and Tata Iron and Steel Private Limited is located at the confluence of the Subarnrekha and Kharkai. The Pittsburgh industrial region is located on the confluence of the river Allegheny and the Monongahela, where it forms the river Ohio. And the growth of the Pittsburgh is marked from 1970s because of the extensive trade And which trade? Trade in steel. From this reason, the locational advantages of the Pittsburgh iron and steel plants like Jamshedpur, Pittsburgh is also strategically located, which helped it grow into a steel city. The same as the Jamshedpur is receiving many kind of advantages of its location. This particular city is also gaining many advantages. Coal is available in the nearby Alpecian coal fields, while the iron ore comes from the mines what are 1500 kilometers at Minnesota. The Ohio, Monongahela and Allegheny, those are rivers and they provide adequate water supply to this region. The densely populated eastern area of the US provides it cheap labor or that provides a labor supply to this region. Between the iron ore mines of Minnesota and Pittsburgh area, there are the world's famous shipping routes of the Great Lake Waterway, a cheap means of transportation. Trains carry the iron ore from the Great Lakes to Pittsburgh, and finished products are transported to the market by both land and water routes. There are many other industries other than the steel plants or steel mills which use the steel as their raw material to make other products, that is railroad or railroad equipment, rails and heavy machineries. So children, from here we can see that the same advantages of its location, what the Jamshedpur is receiving, Pittsburgh iron and steel industry is also receiving. What are the advantages? What the iron and steel industries of Pittsburgh region enjoying or receiving? Coal or running up of the blast furnaces or used as the fuel is obtained from the nearby Alpecian coal fields, while the iron ore comes from the mines what are just 1500 kilometers away at Minnesota. The Ohio what forms by the confluence of the Monongahela and the Allegheny River provide abundant water. The densely populated eastern areas of the USA provides a labor supply, whatever the kind of labor is required for this industry, whether it is a skilled, trained or unskilled, untrained, uneducated, all kind of labor is supplied. Between the iron ore mines of Minnesota and Pittsburgh area, there are the world's famous shipping routes of the Great Lakes Waterway. What provides it? An export facility. a cheap mean of transportation, and children, waterways are considered as the cheapest mode of transportation because it is not having any cost of maintenance, or it does not absorb any labor. It is fuel efficient and labor efficient way. Trains carry the iron ore from the Great Lakes to Pittsburgh, and the finished products are also from the Pittsburgh to the other areas where it is having its market. There are many other industries other than the steel mills which use the steel as their raw materials to make other products like the railroad equipments, rails and heavy machineries, light machineries, whatever are the other products, they are obtained from here. Now, the cotton textile industry, as the steel and iron and steel industries, the textile industry is also very old industry in the world. The term textile is derived from the Latin word texti, textia, which means to weave, weaving cloth from various fibers such as cotton, jute, silk, wool, or that may be any other kind. Maybe of any other kind, but weaving from jute, cotton, wool and silk are historical. They are ancient art of weaving. The textile industries can be grouped on the basis of raw materials, what they use, which could be natural or man-made, like natural fibers are there, what are wool, silk, cotton, jute and linen. When the man-made fibers are nylon, rayon, acrylic and polyester. So fiber may be of any kind, but the industry, textile industry would be a weaving industry. What would be manufacturing a fabric? In the previous chapter, we have studied about all those factors, what are responsible for its location. The cotton industry is one of the oldest industries in the world. India is well known for its cotton fabrics. Throughout the history, we have kept on studying about the Indian cotton that had been responsible for bringing the British people here in India and trading in the cotton products, and those trade in the cotton products was so cunningly done that the British people and the political control over here in India, political, economical and overall control was in their hands. The muslin of Dhaka, chains of Masulipattnam or Maslipatnam, actual word is Maslipatnam, Machilipatnam, and the calicos of Surat and Vadodara were known worldwide, in all over the world. You could be finding the people who were very fond of the Indian chins, muslin, calicos, and we have already studied about them in Indian crafts and industries. What was chapter 7 in history? And before the Industrial Revolution, cloth was spun by hand on spinning wheels and looms, and we shall proceed the remaining part of this chapter of this industry in the next lecture. By the time, stay home, stay safe. May God bless you. Thank you all.